Right everyone, it is Finn here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about 5 of the biggest African footballer transfer rumours that need to happen this transfer window. As we know, the 2022 World Cup has just come to an end. What an absolutely glorious tournament it was, and I'm super proud as an African because African nations did themselves so proud. In fact, I've got so much pride I'd be banned from being worn on an England player's arm throughout the tournament. But looking at Africa, a lot of big players got their names out there, and a lot of names are linked to some of the best clubs from around the world. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about 5 of those African players that have deserved some big money moves. On top of that, there have been a lot of rumors as of late, so let's jump straight into things. But before we jump into the 5 names, I do want to ask you guys what you guys got for Christmas, what the best gift is you got for Christmas. Obviously, the time has just passed. I got this Manchester United jersey or this kind of shirt. I really do like it. But let me know what your favorite gift was down below. But talking about gifts, in terms of African football, what would be a gift in terms of transfers? Well, for me personally, number 1 on this list would be an absolute gift with Soumalia Amrabat to Liverpool. As we know, ever since the tournament ended, the 2022 World Cup, Moroccan holding midfielder Soumalia Amrabat has been linked to Liverpool for a fee of roughly £25 million, or that's his so-called value, although I could see a move for a lot more, up to about £40 million, because looking at Amrabat, I would argue he was the best midfielder, not just holding midfielder, but the best midfielder in the entire tournament, really showcasing his skills. I think he was absolutely brilliant versus Portugal, and as a holding midfielder, moving to a team like Liverpool, he's only 26 years old and would be a good eventual backup for a player like Fabinho. In fact, he's good enough to start in the squad, and he could be the perfect kind of double pivot with a player like Fabinho. Looking at him defensively, as I said, super strong throughout the tournament, but even on an attacking level, he's not a bad option and could play higher up on the pitch. I mean, looking at some of Amrabat's stats compared to other midfielders from around the world over the last year, they are insane. 90.3% passing accuracy over the last year puts him in the top 95 percentile compared to other midfielders in world football. Looking at him in terms of progressive passes, he has about 6 per 90 minutes. Once again, puts him in the top 96 percentile in world football. In terms of an attacking player who can get the ball from defensive areas to attacking areas, no one does it better than Amrabat. As I said, the most similar or the closest player Liverpool have to that is Fabinho, but once again, 29 years old, eventually they will need a backup, and Amrabat will be your man. Now, moving into our next player, who's also a player who has been linked for Liverpool, but I'm not going to list him as one, as it is going to be Black Stars of Ghana youngster Mohammed Kudus. I do think a move to Manchester United, my club, would be absolutely perfect for that, because although, yes, he has been linked to clubs like Liverpool, to Barcelona, those aren't necessarily clubs that are notorious for using attacking midfielders, and I do think Manchester United would be better sorted. I think the only problem there would be the fact that he does have some competition with Christian Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes.
Whoa, no touchy! No touchy. No touch.
But at the end of the day, I do think Christian Eriksen is playing much of a deeper role at Manchester United, also 30 years old. He doesn't have his whole life ahead of him in terms of his playing career.
That is literally the worst thing I could have said about a player who suffered cardiac arrest a year ago. Finn! I am so sorry.
And looking at Bruno Fernandes, also 28 years old, a backup option is never bad. Looking at Kudus versus South Korea, he was absolutely brilliant with his goals, and I do think in terms of making really good progressive carries up the pitch and making really good positive runs forward, he was really brilliant as a second striker. So if you pop a player like him under Marcus Rashford or whoever the striker is, I could see him as an attacking midfielder, one of those players to get 10 goals and 10 assists in a Premier League season.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
Once again, although linked to both Liverpool and Barcelona, I do think Manchester United would be the best fit. Now, moving on to our next player, we've got Mendy from Chelsea. Now, yes, I know that sounds like such a bizarre one. It's so weird to think that 2-3 years ago, he was voted Europe's best goalkeeper. Now, looking at him, he's not even considered Chelsea's best goalkeeper. Obviously, playing second string to Kepa Arrizabalaga on the bench, only playing 11 games across all competitions this tournament, only 1 clean sheet in those 11 games. It is not looking good for him, but at 30 years old, it's still relatively young for a goalkeeper. He's still got half of his career left of him. I do believe he needs a big money move, or at least a move somewhere else where he can kind of recover his career. Looking at him throughout the World Cup for Senegal, 0 clean sheets, it didn't look promising for him. But as I said, looking at him, I think he's had a bit of a confidence drop at Chelsea and does need that confidence regained somewhere else. He was offered a contract extension at Chelsea, but has reportedly turned it down due to it being way too insulting.
Ooh, you're hard.
I do think, though, unfortunately for Edouard Mendy, he might have to take a step down at a different club, maybe not necessarily a Champions League contending club if he wants to recover his career, but he might have to move to a club like a Villarreal in La Liga, where Rulli is set to make a move somewhere else to really get his name out there again. He has been linked to both the likes of Nice and AC Milan, but to be honest with you, I don't see him being a first choice option at either of those clubs. AC Milan, they've got Mike Mignon. Looking at Nice, they've got Schmeichel, who yes is getting older, but those goalkeepers are way too good to be second string to Edouard Mendy. Once again, absolutely brilliant goalkeeper for Senegal over the last few years, was absolutely brilliant at Chelsea. There was a period in time where he was considered the best goalkeeper in the world. So once again, it is not too late for Edouard Mendy, but he needs to make a move somewhere else. Now, of course, that isn't the only Chelsea Senegalese player in this list, unfortunately.
You're joking. Not another one?
As we have Kalidou Koulibaly next. Obviously only moved to Chelsea this season, but apparently Chelsea are already looking to offload him. And what other than another Italian club with Juventus? I think a club like Juventus would do him quite well, although Koulibaly is 31 years old. But looking at Juventus, they have seriously struggled over the last few years, or at least over the last year after offloading both De Ligt and Chiellini. They are missing a solid centre-back partner with Bonucci at the back, and I do think Koulibaly would be the best. Obviously Juventus had been watching him for many years, obviously playing against him at Napoli, and if they can get a player like him on a short-term basis, just for a year or two, I do think it would be ideal. Looking at Chelsea, unfortunately, I do think they need to bring in a lot of younger centre-backs if they want to look at the future at the club at the moment, and Koulibaly just doesn't fit that system. Unfortunately, a poor start, and he needs to move on.
It's time to go!
I do think there are talks about him maybe moving to Juventus for up to £35 million. I do think that could be a bit excessive for him at his current age, but saying that Inter Milan, a Juventus rival, also looking at a player like him, it might have to force Juventus to pay that kind of money for him. Once again, we're going to have to wait and see, but I do think Koulibaly needs to make a move. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to our fifth and final African transfer, which of course, my plan for 2023 is to cover a lot more African football content. Of course, not only African content, but I did enjoy it over this year. You guys seem to have watched it, so it just makes the most sense. But looking at our fifth and final transfer, it is going to be another Moroccan with Ezzedine Nahi. Once again, another player who was brilliant throughout the World Cup, was absolutely brilliant versus teams like Spain and Portugal versus Morocco, and he has been linked to Newcastle United. I think either him or Amrabat at Newcastle United would be an absolutely brilliant transfer, and I was shocked to hear that the Anja midfielder is only 22 years old. Once again, I think overall play is a very solid player, yeah, at least in terms of squad depth for Newcastle. Could use a player like him because it is the richest club in world football. Even if a player like him only has a value of £15 million, they could spend 40 million on him because they've got the money to do so.
Hello, I like money.
As I said, look at Nahi, he is one of those no BS midfielders who will win the ball back and will get them to attacking areas. I feel like he would fit this Newcastle United system perfectly. Once again, he's very young, only 22 years old. So in terms of the future for Newcastle United, it just seems to be the best fit. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for today's video in terms of 5 African football rumors that absolutely need to come true. Once again, if you guys hear any more African football transfer rumors, please do let me know on this video, on future videos. It's always nice. Unfortunately, I don't have eyes and ears absolutely in every single place, so I would appreciate the support. And of course, along with that, don't forget to subscribe down below if you did enjoy this content. We are still on the run to 10,000 subscribers. Don't forget to like if you did enjoy this video. Let's see if we can reach 20 likes on this video. I would appreciate it. But guys, this has been Finn, FY Dublin. Until next time, cheers.